discussion of like what these limitations mean for our creators, we kind of got into this rabbit hole, right? Of like, yeah, what is the end goal to all of this? If we're gonna nerf ourselves, like, are we actually achieving what it is we need to achieve collectively, right? Like a very genuine, impactful user experience, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, VOG Architect, thank you for joining. He says every plot should have its own mission. And, that says it best. I think we want to be able to unlock the creativity of builders out there. And there should be an individual mission to each plot. Like some people want to create a gallery, other people want to host a game, right? And it should be open to all those things. And I think our perspective as far as the 15 megabytes, I think it's totally fair, right? I think there should be some sort of limitation so that there isn't someone that's hogging all the resources, right? What if you had to load a gigabyte worth of data in order to, traverse Decentraland? That would be impossible to do, right? So you have to impose these limitations. But I think the way that Decentraland is doing it is something that could change, right? It could improve on. And so there's ways to do it. Like I mentioned in yesterday's call, is the right way to do this is to have the GLBs hosted on a different server. And so what that means is, like, when you load an image, let's see if I can find an image up here. Here we go. This image, that's being pulled from a different server, pulled into Decentraland from a different server. And so take this concept and apply it to all these 3D models. As a matter of fact, your avatar is being pulled from a different server. That's why it's able to kind of traverse from one parcel to another, whereas these weapons cannot do that. So then we have things like linked to wearables, so where you can potentially wear these weapons on your back or on your hip or wherever it is that you place it. So the whole idea, the whole proposal is like, let's update the design a little bit so that all these GLB models are not packaged within the deployment, right? Instead of, you link them to, an outside source, a server, so that it's pulled in dynamically. And then developers can take that and do some crazy stuff with it, because let's say you buy one of these buildings, right? And let's say Verspective says, all right, it's going to be part of a game. And when you level up in this game, the building morphs. And so you can dynamically switch out the building based on what level you are. And then not only that, because Decentraland is mostly a single-player experience, if you walk into this parcel and you're at level 2, well, you're going to see a level 2 building. But if you're at level 100, you're going to see a level 100 building. And it's completely dynamic. So these are the cool things that you can do, but you can't do right now in Decentraland.
Mm-hmm. So this is all going to be part of proposal content, am I right?
Oh, absolutely. So yeah.
If you're yesterday's discussion, we definitely emphasized the need for more governance participation. I mean, governance is already an ongoing thing. Thankfully, like, we spent a chunk of today just kind of like, deep diving into the existing activity for Decentraland DAO, participation, and it's looking pretty good, looking pretty healthy, a lot healthier than it did, a year ago or so, which is great to see. So it's definitely something we need to leverage as a community, right? Whenever we recognize, we're all here building stuff, and we need certain, I guess, features or tools that might need priority, to just not hamper our creativity collectively, right? So I guess first step will be to iron out exactly what we want to propose. You're already outlining great points, right? Mm-hmm. So we need this on like something that we could all analyze together, correct?
Yes.
And then make adjustments to, if you guys feel that we need to add or subtract certain things to this proposal, we could do that as a community. And then we could submit it on behalf of all of us collectively to the Decentraland DAO. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this is like a nice little package that we can get enacted in the future, right? So like I said earlier, it's all about empowering ourselves to create better stuff, mm-hmm. right? Better metas, better content, better experiences for the end user, right?
Yeah, it's just more engaging, and it's really, it's, I think, a design limitation that doesn't really need to be there. That's ultimately the point of the proposal, is that we
Yeah.
think there's a better design that could be implemented to achieve cooler stuff without a ton of cost, in terms of like, we're not saying we should have 1 gig limits, right? Because that would be ridiculous. But I
True.
think it's really a design change, rather than like, trying to do something ridiculous like adding space, But VLG Architect, with dynamic scenes that change real time, negate the need for having multiple plots. So not really. Ultimately, the more, like, for example, I think this parcel is like, was it a 3x3? No, 4x4. So this is 16 parcels. So that means that we can have 15 megabytes times 16 potentially. I think it's linear scaling. And so you do have more space here, and that's why we're kind of, I guess, able to do a little bit more crazier stuff here than a single parcel. But no, just having a dynamic scene doesn't negate having more parcels, because you're still limited to the 16 by 16 space. So you can still only do so much. So
Do those limitations not factor in like the height as well? Meaning, like, it's like a
yeah,
voluminous.
see, I agree. The point that you're trying to make is there isn't a linear height as you make a bigger and bigger estate. It's not linear, like it is linear for the megabyte size for how many parcels you have together. So yeah, I agree. If you have an estate, if you have a 2x1, you should have more than 30 megabytes.
Which, of course,
more.
so really this hurts more than anything the individual parcel owner, right? Which I think is the majority of landowners in Decentraland, right? And that's who we kind of like had the most, I don't know, like sympathy for, like when we first started Decentraland, right? Because that's the typical landowner is somebody who owns a 1x1 parcel, right? And the majority of people who own this type of lands, they don't necessarily have the ability to develop content on their lands and, like, generate any significant type of monetization opportunity for themselves with these lands. So like all these realizations is what led us to build a platform in the first place, right? So, and then we also realized there's tons of developers and creators like yourselves who might not have the resources to, acquire their own land themselves and, like, experiment, tinker, create products, deploy stuff in the metaverse. So there was an incentive alignment lacking between all these different parties, right? So hence MetaZone, right? So I guess this impacts us a lot, like as a community, as a platform, right? Because it's I guess to the estate owner's benefit, like these limitations, right? It kind of increases the value of an estate, but it totally devalues the individual landowner.
Yeah, and I mean, there's more individual landowners than there are like estates, and the bigger your estate is, the more complicated it is to build, and the more cost intensive it is to build. So there's a middle ground here, right? We need to take care of the people who have purchased land, and then create cool stuff for those lands. I mean, if you have an estate, like a reasonably sized estate, 16 parcels or whatever it is, then you have the burden of like populating it, right? So just the same goes for a person with a 1x1. He has the burden. They have the burden to populate that land with whatever cool content that they can find. And if you're hamstrung by the design of the metaverse, which doesn't need to be designed that way, then this is a cause for a proposal. So here we are. Cyclopa says that they have a last slice spot. It says parcel size 2, height limit 31 meters, file size 30 megabytes, poly count 20,000. So yeah, I guess some of it does scale linearly, but not the height. So the height is not scaled linearly.
What's up, Dead Polaroid? What's going on, man? Yeah, we're just fight this for us, MetaZone. We're gonna fight this together. That's the whole point. That's why we're bringing it up to you guys. And it's not even. Is it a fight? Are we fighting here? I don't know. I think we're just we're concerned for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're concerned, and we're, yeah, it's just, but yeah, it's not like Decentraland's doing something like malicious, right? Like they have their dev team has, their own interpretation as far as like what's an optimal user experience for themselves, like overall as well. So they need to achieve that, and this is their way of doing so. But in our opinion, not enough consideration is being made for the creators and the developers.
But you know
like
what,
Oscar said, specifically for the developers.
You brought up a good point. Like, so we use this analogy when it comes to a DAO and a community and like having the community contribute, and we feel like we have to, in order to give the keys to the community to govern anything, there has to be something to govern, right? And so, like, say for example, let me give you the opposite side of this. If let's say you do let's say a PFP project, and it's like, here's a bunch of cool pictures that you guys buy. There's 10,000 of them, and you buy them, and it says, okay, you guys, the community, have the keys to making something cool with these pictures. And so our opinion is that community of 10,000 people aren't going to have the skills to build anything cool for the most part, right? There's some communities that do have that capability, but for the most part, it's not going to work. So our position is, let's, as a team, build a plane, for example, in this analogy. Let's build a plane, make sure it works, get the engineers in, aerodynamics, everything, right? Build it, make it work, make it fly. Once it can fly, then you give the community the keys to the plane. They can decide how high it goes, where it goes, how many people go onto it, who can go onto it, and that's what can be governed by a community. And I think that's a lot more successful model than just giving it up. So having said that, you're saying that Decentraland has built their plane already. And so when it comes to deciding on 15 megabytes, nobody really knew whether 15 megabytes was enough, right? Nobody really knew that this was more than enough or not enough. And so now that we know, now we've been making cool stuff beyond 15 megabytes. And and so, what are your thoughts on it, man?
Well, we all knew, like, all along, like there was friction from the user perspective. Like, just load into Decentraland now, even if you have the fattest rig. Like, just try traversing Decentraland. You're going to encounter, loading issues, right? Like, things you don't typically encounter in like a virtual environment, right? Mm-hmm. Like if it's more like a centralized, infrastructure, mm-hmm. For virtual environments. So, of course, we're all in support of Decentraland's mission, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like this is definitely a critical discussion that the community needs more involvement in. Like, we understand, like, we're all targeting the same thing. Like, we're all building stuff in the metaverse for the goal of acquiring more citizens, users, participants, players, whatever the hell you want to identify them as, just more bodies, essentially, right? So we all have a say in how to achieve that, but at the same time, we don't all have a say, because we're all just kind of creating our own experiences in isolation, right? There's not enough cohesive agreement and like what it is we need to do to achieve that end goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is just, we're definitely like just kind of like jabbering at this point.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe this is like more important than what we're like making it out to be, So
I feel like I feel like it is important. I mean, it's one of those issues where unless developers really are in like building, they're not going to recognize this issue. And most people won't recognize that there is an issue, but I feel like there is. And when it comes to, let's say, call it an MVP of a single parcel. Let's say a single parcel can sustain a wild grass meta, and you can create like a pretty successful build around a wild grass meta from Ethermon. But within this limitation, and specifically the design of deployments, like doesn't allow you to even deploy a wild grass, like then you got a problem, right? Okay, let's say that we go through with this limitation and we just kind of optimize, and let's say we can do it. Well, maybe a one parcel land can only deploy one wild grass, which is one slime. It's like, well, why not? Like that may not be enough to attract any player to go to that land. And so now you're forced as a landowner to be like, well, I need 2 lands, so I got to spend $6,000 or $7,000. It's like, will it make sense then? Well, it might not. But I think it's about giving an equal opportunity even to the single landowners. I mean, these things are still expensive, right? So it is important. So Neb is saying.
Having said that, let's get on some more important matters. POAP password.
Oh yeah.
We're at the 30-minute mark. I just didn't want to forget this ultra critical, component to our weekly calls. So yeah, this week, shout out once again, Perspective Architecture is our featured Spotlight Creator of the Week. Dahlia, if you could be so cool as to link our Spotlight article for Perspective. Like we said in the beginning of the call, dude, we appreciate you, man. You're an OG. It used to be referred to Laser. You came up with a badass name, Perspective Architecture now. But yeah, I mean, just there's links within this article that can take you directly to Perspective Architecture's overall meta portfolio, and it's pretty sick.
Yeah, some of these architects are building like really cool websites on top of this. So yeah, definitely really good job in like all the design that you guys do. It's really impressive. So now going to the Popes. Make sure you DM the MetaZone bot. The password is Verspective. Yeah, so send a DM.
Why are you laughing at me, dude? What did I say?
Hold
Not
on.
you, Will. Perspective.
Yeah. Let's see. So Neb was saying that we're not fighting, we're legislating. That's good.
Yeah, I think we are. Dude. Yeah. Thank you for that input. Problem is we're legislating in a vacuum at the moment, right?
Yeah.
But not really, because you guys are all with us. So yeah, I think it's true. Like there needs to be more discussions like this, like across the board, because so many people are building so many amazing things into Decentraland, but there's just not enough, like, I don't know, collaboration, unity. I don't know, dude. Like, what's the word?
Well, I mean, I think you're pointing to the fact that there's little activity on the DAO front. I mean, there's some, but there's, in comparison to a lot of other projects,
and there's obvious reasons to that, dude. When you're building things, dude, you're busy.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and effort to build stuff. You don't have time to like concern yourselves with governance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though it's probably the most important thing that impacts all of us, right? It's just, damn, it's just like a whole different tangent, and it's like so involved. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know.
So VLG Architect, he says, we're building the first apps for the metaverse, similar to iPhone. Yeah. I mean, back when the first iPhone was developed, well, actually, there wasn't an app store on the first iPhone. I think it came on the second iPhone. But yeah, I mean, totally right. Like these are the early builds of these apps.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the whole point of Decentraland's platform is to eventually make apps better or have different capabilities, like continuously add new functions within the platform so that developers can make cooler apps. So yeah, I mean, this is exactly what's happening. Yeah, crypto is the Nokia brick phone at the moment.
Who said that?
Neb.
That's great.
Yeah, I remember I had one of those phones, man. It was awesome. And then it got like its teeth kicked in by good old, what was it? The Motorola Razr. And then after that, pretty soon it was the iPhone. Okay, Alan, I'm going to say it, ask it. Is there proof that DAOs actually lead to success? Absolutely, there's no proof. There's no proof. I guess we have a semblance of a civilization because of governance. But man, there's the everyone picks a side, right? You're either red or blue or in between, and it's like no one can agree no matter what.
Yeah, I half agree with your stance on things. Like, there has to be some sort of founding effort from some sort of founding organization to kind of like build that initial airplane. I agree, because like, again, building things, it's very difficult and it requires a very focused initiative. So usually it's very hard to do that. Like, look how difficult it is right now for us just to like figure out, what I feel like is probably a minor like technical problem. like Oscar, correct me if I'm wrong. This is probably like really not that difficult of a technical thing barrier, but when you're involving the opinions of like many different people,
Mm-hmm.
it all of a sudden like expands the complexity of like, actually implementing things, right? So that could slow down everything. We know government is the slowest organization on earth.
Yeah,
So if we
exactly.
apply governing principles to like the building of things,
Yeah,
it's gonna slow down everything. You know
such
what
a
I
good
mean?
point, dude.
Yeah, so like yeah, I think that's the reason why we can't refer to like this clear cut example of like a DAO just achieving greatness yet, just because there's like a threshold moment where like you can actually like justifiably pass over all those responsibilities to like, again, this distributed organization. Like it's just tough, you know.
Yeah. Another thing Dolly was bringing up is transparency. I totally agree. I mean, that's, man, since day one. I mean, we started a podcast, and then we started MetaZone from the podcast, and we've been transparent about everything as much as we can be. And so I think the governance aspect adds to that transparency, and I think it is a way for people around the planet to actually move in the same direction, right? That's the whole point. And so transparency is a huge point to governance. I think the only question is like, does it make sense for governance to even occur when, let's say, there isn't a plane yet, right? And so
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
now with Decentraland, they have a plane. And so I think needs to be some
I think they do have a plane.
there
Yeah.
needs to be some input on the developers, like, hey, we're about to implement this 15 megabyte limit. It's like all the developers stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, let's not do that just yet. Give us like, 2 months to optimize our shit so we can,
Yeah.
fit within the guide. At least do that. But no.
Now that is some valuable input that could have resulted from more outside involvement from the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that is probably actually what would have happened. Like, okay, like let's do this, but let's prepare beforehand, just to like not put wrenches in everybody's development roadmaps.
Yeah, all of a
It's just,
sudden, we wake up the next day. It's like, okay, let's deploy this thing. It's like, oh, it doesn't work. Let's see what happened. It's like, oh, Decentraland made an SDK update. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Now they're enforcing these limitations. Like nobody knew this was going to happen yesterday. So, this is a problem. Like this has been a problem. Decentraland making updates without telling anybody. But
it's a problem, but a necessary growing pain. And I guess here we are discussing it and attempting to galvanize, future support for what our attempt at some type of resolution, then that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all that's happening here. Okay, right. So we already gave out the POAPs, right? So what else do we need to do?
Cool Pope as always. Thank you, Patrick. Alan Howick. All right, so let's see.
You guys are chatting it up. Village Architect, time to build. Hell yeah, dude. It's always time to build. Chewy Loco, welcome to Crypto Winter, lads. Come on, Chewy. Why are you gonna bring that bad juju to the chat, dude? Come on, man.
Is that Grinchfur? No, or is that someone else? No Pope on mobile? That can't be Grinchfur.
Yes, Sar. Is that you, Green? I don't think that's you, dude.
Yeah, I don't think that's him. Cyclopa, to be honest, the DCL DAO is kind of sketchy. There's nothing sketchy about the DAO itself, other than, whales are still going to manipulate everything. I mean, if that's considered sketchy, then yeah, you would be right. But I don't know. I wouldn't say it's like sketch. There's people voting with 100,000 VP, but they don't have mana. Oh, that's because you can vote with land. That's why.
Yeah, and I think they're actually voting in like now layer 1 wearables are going to have voting power. I think that's like on the precipice of of
that's interesting
activation, which is interesting. Yeah, they're introducing more variables to governance, which is great. I am in full support of that. More vehicles for determining
the
consensus, the better, in my opinion.
Cyclopa I would say DCL is using bots. It's like it's difficult to use bots with crypto as your voting mechanism. I mean, there's definitely bots out there, but voting bots, I'm going to say I doubt.
I wouldn't doubt, just for the nature of.
Well, how would you vote with bots if you need mana or land?
Yeah, I mean, that's not up for me to figure out, dude. I'm just saying, I wouldn't put it past like humanity to figure out like a way. But what you're advocating is like, the nature of blockchain prevents these type of things, right?
Well, that thing, right? There's still an issue with like spinning up a bunch of ETH addresses and then voting because you have an ETH address, right? That's a Sybil attack. So that's completely different.
Yeah, totally.
All right, just kind of read through the chat. I'm way behind, guys. Chewy's using his dark soul to chime in here. That's funny. Let's see. OG layer ones will have voting power. CZ wearables just got more valuable. Yeah, there you go.
That's true, man. Yep.
I'll post in here through the week. I can't explain it, but it's sketchy data. Okay, I'd like to see it. I'm curious.
Wow. We got a whistleblower, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Maybe there's some sort of compromise or some sort of glitch or whatever it is. It's totally possible.
Yeah, dude. If you pull a full blown like Edward Snowden, dude, hopefully you have a safe harbor.
Edward location.
Snowden. The cartel doesn't come after you, dude.
Yeah. Welcome, Rochelle. Let's see. Wordsworth, follow the link Dahlia posted, hanging out each week, help you win valuable NFTs. Yeah, totally. So at the end of this call, like let's say in the next 10 minutes or so, there's going to be a chance for someone to win a Perspective building, this green one, this Xbox looking one. Yeah, so stay tuned for that. And Iman, is there any other updates that I'm forgetting here? I think that covers
just that the meta drops are still pumping out, lads. Every week we got new metas dropping on MetaZone. So, this is definitely becoming a persistent and much more organized like effort than what it used to be, which I very much like, and overall the whole purpose, again, like we keep reemphasizing, is just to bring more power to the metaverse creator and more awareness to what it is people are actually creating. So, we're definitely in the infant stages of like the metaverse and like what is being leveraged for. So like that includes all the architects building structures, that includes all the developers creating interactive things, and games and like building microeconomies. Like there's just so much you could do in the metaverse, right? Just creating these otherworldly social experiences. So right now we're all super deep in the know of these things because we're actively participating in it, and we've been doing that. But now our objective as like a community and a collective is to like bring awareness to all this stuff. Right. So that means not just us writing these articles, you guys who are creating things, create your Twitter profiles, create your Instagrams, get it out there, make as much noise as you can. And some of you guys do a really good job of that. And
hell yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely in full support of all you guys. If you guys got Twitter, Instagram posts, definitely always tag us in them so that we can retweet them and like continually reinforce like the whole community.
That's true. I don't know if we've implemented this yet. I know we've talked about it, but part of your MetaZone profile, I think we're going to add like a Twitter handle so that way we know who to tweet at whenever we're like tweeting about, let's say, Perspective. I don't know if that's implemented yet, but that's something that we're hoping to kind of add. There's a question here. It says, random question, Perspective. Guys, ever thought if DCL developed a marketplace for metas, how could it coexist with MZ metas? And then Oscar chimed in with, our metas are very more detailed, many features behind them. For example, auto land or meta owner split earnings for in-meta purchases. Yeah, so this is a good question. The
very good question, yeah.
It's kind of like a long answer. I'm trying to condense this, but ultimately, let's say Decentraland says metas, it's a good idea. Let's do it ourselves. They would have to, I would say, support a different layer of infrastructure to make MetaZone like part of Decentraland, like if they were trying to build it. So like, for example, a lot of the games that we're hosting, like for example, Ethermon or Corona Zombies or Rovies, there's a server that needs to host a lot of this content, and so Decentraland would have to build another aspect to the Catalyst server in order to make this work. And so it's another layer of complication that they have to upkeep, right? And so maybe they could do that, maybe they decide not to. But our perspective is, and our sentiment is that Decentraland would rather have the community do MetaZone stuff, or have a bunch of MetaZones, or have the community build in these different aspects to what the I guess the economy of Decentraland needs. Right, we saw Decentraland needed this sort of economy, right? This like NFT deployable marketplace, and so we built it. And so I suspect if I were running Decentraland, I would want my community to build things like MetaZone. I would prop things like this up because it just shows that there's a strong community, there's a community of builders, and there's everyone's contributing. So yeah, I mean that's what I think.
Beautifully put, dude.
All right, so imagine people in 1980 sitting around discussing.
Oscar's already chiming in with another super valuable difference, I guess, is the fact that metas are going to be interconnected to different virtual environments outside of Decentraland, right? So something I don't think Decentraland would even be interested in, facilitating, right?
Yeah, they have no incentive to do that, but we do, right? We're collecting a bunch of creators, architects, developers, and we're trying to increase the ROI of the creators. And the way you do that is by creators making content, and that content all of a sudden being deployable in multiple locations, multiple worlds. And what happens when you do that? You get more developers making more content, and things just keep getting better and better because the ROI is high with MetaZone. So Decentraland, if they were to build, something like MetaZone, they would have no incentive to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're basically just like a lot of DeFi protocols are on the way to becoming like blockchain agnostic. We are definitely metaverse agnostic. Like that is our mission as a ecosystem, right? Like we recognize like the limitations of having to like force individuals to lock themselves into like a tribalistic type scenario where we have to pick and choose which metaverse we want to participate in and accrue value and presence and identity for ourselves in, right? Like it's very limiting. We want to facilitate a future metaverse where like you're participating in like a much more interconnected network of them, right? So like your presence, your identity, it's more applicable across like the horizon, if you know what I mean. So that's definitely like part of our mission. Decentraland, like we've been talking about, it is the best place to experiment at the moment, and to like increase our skills as far as like what it is that's necessary to be a good creator in the metaverse, right? So we're learning a lot from Decentraland.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, Decentraland is a very good example of a very good general purpose metaverse. And I guess whoever wants to compete with Decentraland, they build the next general purpose metaverse. I think they have a lot to learn and a lot to build on top of, just because Decentraland did it first. So there's a lot of stuff to take away from like everything that's being built. Like say for example, Terra Luna, right? That whole fiasco, like there's a lot to learn with that, right? Algorithmic stable coins, they have a vulnerability. You got $1 billion in an arbitrage bot, just take down an entire blockchain. So all these things, even though there's casualties, the next round of building is going to be a lot better.
Yeah, totally. Holy shit, dude. That was quite the freaking powwow, dude.
Yeah. So PSA, there's a public service announcement, security-wise, to Rika, thank you. There is a payload scam going on CoinGecko and Etherscan. It says, do not connect or sign the following transaction. You did not win an ape. Yeah. Anytime anyone says you won anything, assume that you didn't and don't click on anything. So every now and then I do send a message to actual winners. I won like a meta or whatever it is. But I mean, that's a lot more like sincere, because anytime you win something that's a scam, it's like this huge wall of text and like, something ridiculous.
Yeah, thanks for that PSA, Most Def.
Okay, let's see. Use
All right, we're at
case.
we got only about 10 to 15 minutes left. I guess we can get the giveaway started, right?
Yes. So Dead Polaroid says MetaZone and Other Side for sure. So Other Side has an SDK, and dude, we love SDKs if you didn't already know that. And so an SDK and MetaZone is a match made in heaven. So absolutely. All right, so let's do the giveaway. All right, give me a second, guys. Let me set this up.
Okay. All right. So yeah, today's giveaway sponsored by Respective Architecture, dude. Let me go ahead and post the link to the drops page in case any of you guys aren't aware. So you can keep up to date on like the latest meta drops from all of our creators. There it is, dude. That's the link. Anytime you want to like chime in and see what people are outputting into the Decentraland ecosystem, this is the way to do it. These are all NFTs mintable on the Polygon network and instantly deployable in Decentraland. So hence the phrase meta, which is metaverse enabled tokenized asset. But I'm starting to lean more towards application now, dude.
Yeah, really?
I don't know why. It definitely feels more impactful just to like that ubiquitous understanding, like these things that you guys are creating are applicable and like there's functionality to them and like real purpose, just like all applications, right? Like there's purpose and real value being created from them. So it's still up in the air, but they're asset applications nonetheless.
What's going on, Juxon? Thank you for joining. Dead Polaroid.
What's up, man?
I'm 4
What's
places
going on, Jux?
from center, so hit me up. Yeah, so the giveaway is up. Make sure you go to the giveaway channel and interact with the bot. You have a chance to win one Thunder Art Gallery from Perspective. Thank you, Perspective, for putting this up, man.
Sweet name too, dude. Thunder Art Gallery. And yeah, Perspective has made tons of different art galleries and they're all super unique and badass in their own right. So that's the testament to like the creators' artisanship, right? Like you can create products with like, similar or even like the same purpose, right? Like you're targeting a specific use case with your creation, but you could still provide an entirely unique experience with each different variant. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
That's what's so cool about the metaverse, dude. Like you can display your collections of art to your liking. You know what I mean? So there's really no limitation to like creativity here,
Yeah, that's the best part. I mean, shit, it's that creativity that really fuels us. I mean, we're ourselves a little bit creative. We keep talking about how we have like a symphony in our heads.
Not me, dude, but that's you. That's why I really appreciate when I see this stuff. I mean, you do too, but like me, it's like I'm always blown away.
Yeah,
about what you guys do. It's wild. Some of you guys are so freaking talented. It's insane. And like, like I've seen a lot of you creators like start from the donut tutorial, the Blender one.
Yeah.
And like 6 to 8 months down the line, you guys are pumping out like these most ridiculous stuff. I'm like, what the hell? How come I can't do that? I just.
Let's see. Daily naps. Oh yeah.
Chewy
needs to win after this week's ramming.
Yeah, man. I feel that.
Chewy, you got rammed, dude? What's going on over there?
Dude, how do you get rammed, Chewy? Come on.
A little bit of creative Blender. All right. Yeah. All right. Hang in there, guys. We have... What happened here? Okay, 5 minutes left. So make sure you get in the giveaway and interact with the bot. And we're almost there.
Oh my god! Look at this cool wearable, dude.
All right, let's see this.
Wearable.
Wearable is now available.
Whoops. Dude, that's sick. That's pretty cool. I like how it shifts with your body. It's cool as fuck. I like that.
Yeah, man. Dude, that's another thing, man. We got a little bit of hate when we were talking about how we agree that the wearables need to be open to the community instead of like this gated thing. And
A little bit of hate. We got a lot of hate back in those days. Yeah. Because, I mean, it was very controversial, right?
yeah, I feel like
Because yeah.
I felt like the outcome is pretty clear that this is a way better.
Oh,
But I mean, most wearables aren't very expensive, right? We're looking at 25 to 100 mana, so I
that's
guess
totally fine, dude. To me, that signals like a real product ecosystem, not necessarily like a speculative collector one. Like to me, when people are creating genuine products that people genuinely want to buy and like own,
yeah,
just off of the value of like the creation itself,
sure.
like that to me is maturity. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting perspective.
I mean, let me know if I'm right or wrong, lads. I don't know. That's just the way I think of it. I mean, because that's the way it is in the real world, dude. Like it's up to the product developer in the real world to create, that value.
Yeah.
And that purchasing demand. And yeah, not necessarily it's always going to be, only reachable to like a very select class of, people.
Mm-hmm.
Like the wealthy elites, right? Like this is very accessible, like which I love. Like anybody can buy a wearable, which is great.
Yeah, man, there's some cool ass wearables out there. Yeah, we're happy to see it. This is exactly what I anticipated the metaverse to be like. Craziness. Speaking of craziness, I invite you to watch the Rovi call that happened yesterday. We had a bunch of people show up with their Rovies. Every Rovi is completely unique, and we had like a sound off. And there's tons of Rovies talking to each other back to back for a good second there when I enabled the audio.
Yeah, that was actually awesome. Yeah, we were celebrating Anubis, the priest's birthday in Rovi form. It was so cool, dude. Yeah, man. So yeah, if you guys can, every Thursday we do Rovi call. If you don't know, Rovi is our it's our sister project, cousin project. I mean, it's our project. It's another one we're working on in tandem with MetaZone.
Yeah.
Development that leverages a lot of the tool sets, that we want to open source for future developers to utilize, right? So it's a very critical project that's in progress. A lot of cool shit is happening. A lot of cool like things, we postulated would happen in the metaverse. It's like it's starting to happen with these type of experiences. So it's definitely fun.
Yeah, that's such a good point, dude. So yeah, what you're looking at here is my Rovi. So when I wave at it, it waves back. And then I am actually earning some off-chain tokens called lube. So you're earning lube in order to progress in this game. And yeah,
that's right. He said lube, dude.
That's right. You need lube.
You didn't hear wrong. Our off-chain token is called lube.
Yeah.
Where do you see the lube? It's hovering over the heads of each Rovi. It's literally like a little lube drop icon, and it has like a nice little counter to keep track of how much lube you're accruing throughout the day.
Yeah, so somebody's been accruing 248 lube. It's kind of hard to see. I know it's kind of choppy, but there it is.
Other than the head, yeah, we're working on building a dashboard right now, actually, for the lube and the GRZ token. Yeah, just basically your asset management dashboard, your across the board, not just for players, but also for landowners and meta owners and stuff. Because we're building a distributed play to earn game in Decentraland, first of its kind, right? So it's tough. Yeah. It requires a lot of new features and tools. So we're working on that, lads. Yeah, but if you want to know more, join us on Thursdays.
Yeah. So I guess everyone likes the word lube, huh?
It's a winner. It's a winner, dude.
Freaking dirty bird.
What do you say?
The
GIF. What the hell?
All right. I think somebody won, dude. Let's see. Oh, dude. SAR. We were just talking about it.
Yo,
Congrats, man.
dude, I think he won one of the other ones too, dude. He's building a meta empire here just by total luck, which is
A
awesome.
meta empire. All right, man. Congrats, Sar. Make sure you DM me your ETH address, and then we'll get this out minted to you tonight.
Yeah, beautiful building, dude. Shout out again, Perspective. Great design, super cool. You got like a Nickelodeon freaking fountain in the middle of it. Like it's a slime machine. It's freaking great.
Yeah, Sar, is that you, Greenshifter, or is it not? It is.
Yeah,
okay.
it is. He said he's out and about.
Okay.
So
all right. Cool.
Yeah, he's out and about. He's on it probably like on his phone or something. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, congrats, Greenshifter. Let's see. So make sure you guys come back on Thursdays and Fridays. We have a chat exact same time, 10 p.m. UTC. We talk about Rovies on Thursdays. We talk about MetaZone on Fridays. And every week we have updates and we got NFTs to send out to you guys. Yeah, man. So hopefully you guys are staying in the green, not in the red. I know it's been difficult last week or so. I know Iman's been feeling it. He's like the most emotionally connected to the markets.
I'm just emotionally connected to everything, dude. That's my problem. I have too much empathy. Like it hurts.
Yeah.
It freaking hurts, dude.
Yeah, he's calling the apocalyptic destruction of the financial system pretty soon here. And so I'm debating that. I don't think it's coming yet, but it will. It will, but not yet.
Yeah, we'll see, dude.
But yeah, if that interests you, definitely join us on these calls. And yeah, so hopefully you guys had some fun. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Enjoy the weekend.
All right. See you later, everybody. Peace. Cool.